Hi students, this is Dr.Sujata. Till now we finished the topics meaning of ELT, the scope of ELT and nature of English language teaching in the offline classes. So today onwards we are going to learn in the online mode. So today's topic is the status of English language in the global and Indian context. So what is the status of English? We all know that English is a system and English is a skill-based subject, and English is it has its own style, it has its own passion. So language is one of the most important characteristic forms of human behavior. So it has its own instrument to express our feelings, thoughts and desires, to communicate and to understand very easily to the others also. So we can say that language is a system. So it is highly organized and it operates within the system of sounds and meanings and its grammatical pattern. So a language used to communicate social needs. The changes are brought and reflected the use of the language. So English language is different from the regional language. So it has its own phonetic expression and syntax and its own semantics. So the English language is emerged as a global language. So due to its multifarious functions in the world. So English language, we can say it is a skill-based subject. English language teaching comprises macro skills and also the micro skills. So it has its own sub skills also. So it consists of elements like a teacher, teaching process and administration and organizations and the school environment, etc. So we know that in India, English was introduced 2 centuries by the East India Company for their trade and market. So English, it has its own a great influence over the past 2 centuries in shaping political and cultural and intellectual, and it's a life of India, and still it is serving as a dynamic instrument of social change. So it influences this throughout the education sector and administration sector also. So it has its status raised to that of a official language. So it is introduced all states of education. It is a medium of instruction in the schools and colleges. Okay. So we know that English is nobody's mother's language. So it has its own passion. We can say it is a lingua franca. It is a common language, and it is used by the multilingual and multicultural societies all over the world in the various activities, programs and the situations also. So coming to our state also, our Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister earlier taken the decision to introducing English medium in all over the government schools. So right to education is now upgraded into the right to English education. So by doing this, what is happening drastically, the changes occurs, and there is enhancing our employability and career opportunities in everywhere, not only in the global and Indian context. So now I'm going to give you more information regarding the global and Indian context through PowerPoint presentation. So what is the status of English in the global context? Now we are going to see. So English enjoyed a unique special status in the world still the last decade. So British English has been considered as a standard English, and British pronunciation is known as a standard pronunciation or received pronunciation that has been popularized over the world for the convenience their communication also. So slowly the American pronunciation and spelling of words were popularized through their dictionaries of English language. Learners all over the world found it difficult regarding the variations in spellings and pronunciation of British English and American English. So International Phonetic Association was formed to look into global issues related to the English. From 2005, all the English language dictionaries adopted IPA symbols in their editions. IPA symbols in their editions. See here, IPA symbols is a International Phonetic Alphabet. International Phonetic Alphabet, and it is developed in the 19th century and to accurately represent the pronunciation of languages. Okay. So now, today the status of English is globally and everybody's language. We can say it is a lingua franca of Europe. So no one country can claim English as their mother tongue. British English is no more recognized as a standard one for communication in the world, but for academic purpose of schools. So everybody's language is a habit, such as its stress and intonation patterns. The stress pattern, the utterance of sound and intonation, the rising and falling tunes of a language. So here we can say it is now one of the most widely spoken languages in the world, and it has attained the status of a global language because it is the only language through which we can keep ourselves familiar with the latest development taking place in the political, social, economical and scientific, technological, literary, commercial and agriculture fields all over the world. So this is only language through which we can peep into the changes taking place in the world. Globalization has created a smaller world for the people, and our is like a global village now. So English is spoken and understood by people all over the globe, and thus English, the global language has attained international status also. So it bridges the gap between the people of different nations and thus helps in international understanding. English is a language being used in the people living across the globe. So it is used as a first language in the countries like United States, Canada, Australia and New Zealand, etc. And English is used as a second language in Russia, Japan, Pakistan, France, Africa, etc. So it is an official language, and it is used by people in more than 70 countries. So as a foreign language, it is now taught more than 100 countries including China, Germany, Spain, Egypt, Brazil and Indonesia. So it has its own lingua franca, or a common language of Europe, and it is used in many regions around the world, and it is used as a means of communication in various contexts such as the government and judiciary, the press and media, and the education system also. So we can say it is a business correspondence, and the international trade among the different countries of world is being carried out in the English. So the English press puts across the world all inventions of the science and technology and the growing literature in all the branches of knowledge. So it is a language enjoying worldwide popularity, and we can say it is a language is a system, and it is a skill-based subject, and it has its own forms and it has its own phonetic expression, and it has its own structures, which means the syntax and semantics also, the structure pattern also. So that is about the status of English language in the global context. Now, what is the status in the Indian context? So the status of English in India has been changing accordingly. The changes taking place in the political, social and cultural people living in the country. So it is first introduced in India 16th century when East India Company came to India for trade and commerce. So at that time it was a language of traders, and when Britishers established their rule in the 19th century, its status underwent a change. So it was more a foreign language of traders, but it became the language of rurals also. So what's the words of Dr. S. Radhakrishnan? In the words of Radhakrishnan in English, it is English is a language which is rich in literature, humanistic, scientific and technical. English is only means of preventing our isolation from the world, and we will be unwise if we allow ourselves to be enveloped in the folds of a dark curtain of ignorance. So what the commission said, that the Indian Education Commission 1964-66 was headed by Dr. D.S. Kotari. He endorsed Hindi and English as a linked language and English as a library language, and it is a medium of international communication also. So further, the commission recommended that English should be the medium of instruction in all universities, and a special unit should be set up for teaching English as a skill subject. So it has popularity, and it has its own importance to still retained in all fields of developments of India. So the states which are once opposed to the introduction of English in schools are now introducing it from first year of schooling, viewing importance over the years. So in the present scientific and technological world, the significance of English is increasingly wide. So all the research purposes and updated knowledge is available in English only. So we are seeing in our libraries also, we can say this is a library language, and it is said that it's to be a key that would unlock the storehouses of language. So the Indians who plan to pursue higher studies and become the leaders of the world would certainly need proficiency in English language. We can say it is a library language. Why we are saying it is a library language? More 80% of the books are in the English language only. So we can say this English is a language which is having a richest literature in the world. So English is we can say this, it is a key that would unlock the storehouses of knowledge also. So keeping in the view of importance, we can say it is one of the most important and acquired reasonable proficiency in the language, and it desires to maintain the established standards of education and also knowledge also. So we have to say English is a library language, and according to Education Commission also said this, English is an important library language, plays a vital role in the higher education, and no student should be considered as qualified for the degree in particular and master's degree unless it has acquired reasonable proficiency in English. So English is a window on the world. We are able to know that what is happening around us and different fields with the knowledge of English. And English is said to be passport for the employment. You can say this is. And according to the former Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru said this, English is a major window on the modern world. So that means English is only way through which we can see the development of taking place in the political, social, and cultural, and economical, and intellectuals, technical, and literary, commercial, and agricultural fields all over the world. So we can say this is English is a window on the world. And a person who can communicate English can get the employment. So anywhere in the world, this is a right statement in the present system of education. So we can say English is an international language, English is a global language. And English is a global language, we are saying, means it become it's a presence in all continents in the world, colonization and conquest. So worldwide expansion of English language means the most widely spoken languages in the world, with well over 500 million native speakers and roughly the same number who speaks it is a second language. So it is used for many different purposes in the society. So we can say it is a global language, and moreover it is an international language. Yes, it is a international language. So English becomes a world language. It is a means of international communication. So there is no other. Even Mahatma Gandhi said that English is a language of international commerce. So we can accept it is an international language. It is a global language, and it is a library language. It is a language is a window on the world. So it is much more important stakes in our life situations also. So here English may be called the language of modernized civilization, but in the future it may be the language of common man, the language of all, and its richness and elegance, beauty, flexibility, and dignity made it universally popular also. So that's a status in the Indian and global context. We can say it is the place, we can say it is a used for language for communication. The scope we are already learned about what is the scope of English language.